It was raining that night, hard, cold, and merciless. The streets were nearly empty, except for the two small figures huddled under a broken bus stop shelter. Their thin jackets clung to their trembling bodies, and the younger boy's lips were turning blue. Evelyn, a 63-year-old widow, clutched her grocery bag as she walked past, determined to make it home before the storm worsened. She was tired, her back ached, and her small pension barely kept her afloat. Life hadn't been easy for her since her husband's passing, but she had learned to keep moving. But that night her steps slowed. Something tugged at her heart as she passed the boys. She heard the faint sound of the younger one coughing and the older one whispering, "Hold on, Marcus, it'll be okay." Evelyn stopped. She turned and looked at them again. Two black boys, maybe 7 and 10, dirty-faced, hungry, and soaked to the bone. They looked up at her with wide, guarded eyes. "Where are your parents?" she asked gently. The older one shook his head. We don't got any." His voice was flat, too heavy for a child. Evelyn's chest tightened. She knew she could just keep walking, pretend she didn't see, pretend she wasn't moved. But something in her soul refused to let her leave them. "Come with me," she said, her voice firm but kind. They hesitated. The world had taught them not to trust easily, but the kindness in her eyes broke through their fear, and slowly they followed her into the storm. That night Evelyn gave them warm food, dry clothes, and blankets. She found out their names: David, the older one, and Marcus, the younger. Their mother had died of illness 2 years prior. Their father was never in the picture. Since then they'd been bouncing between shelters, the streets, and sometimes worse. Evelyn knew the law might frown upon her just taking them in, but her heart overruled every doubt. She became their guardian, their protector, their grandmother in every way that mattered. Days turned into weeks, weeks into years. Evelyn raised those boys in her small home as if they were her own blood. She cooked for them, sat with them through nightmares, scolded them when they got into trouble, and celebrated every little victory with them. Life was not easy. Money was scarce, and there were times she skipped meals so the boys could eat, but she never complained. "God didn't give me much," she would say with a smile, "but He gave me you boys, and that's enough." David grew into a strong, determined young man. He worked hard in school, inspired by Evelyn's sacrifices. Marcus, though quieter and more sensitive, developed a love for art. Together, the brothers built their lives on the foundation Evelyn had given them: love, discipline, and unwavering faith. Years passed. David earned a scholarship and went on to study law. Marcus pursued design and photography. Both carried the lessons Evelyn had instilled: kindness, perseverance, and humility. And through it all, Evelyn aged. Her once strong hands grew frail, her steps slower, her voice softer. By the time she reached her late 80s, her health was failing. She lived alone in the same little house, proud but tired. The boys, now grown men with careers and families, visited often, but she always told them not to worry about her. One evening, as Evelyn sat in her worn armchair staring out the window, a sharp pain shot through her chest. She gasped, clutching her side. Her vision blurred. She tried to call for help, but her phone was across the room, too far for her trembling body to reach. She thought it was the end. But then she heard the sound of a door bursting open. "Grandma," a deep voice cried out. David rushed to her side, his lawyer's suit still on, tie loosened from a long day. Marcus was right behind him, carrying a small box. How did you?" Evelyn whispered weakly. David knelt beside her, holding her hand tightly. "We had a feeling. We stopped by to check on you." Tears welled in Evelyn's eyes. "I thought my life was ending alone." Marcus gently placed the box on her lap. "No, Grandma, it's not ending, it's changing." Inside the box was a letter, legal papers. They had bought her a new home, closer to them, where nurses could help her, but she'd never be alone. And more than that, they revealed something else. David had named his newborn daughter Evelyn. Marcus had dedicated his first art gallery in her honor, with the title, "The Woman Who Saved Us." Evelyn wept, overwhelmed. "You boys," her voice broke. "I thought I saved your lives, but really, you saved mine." David kissed her forehead. "You gave us everything when you had nothing. Now it's our turn." From that day forward, Evelyn's last years were not spent in loneliness, but in the warmth of the family she had created. Her home was filled with laughter, grandchildren running through her halls, her boys, turned men ensuring she was cared for, honored, and cherished. When Evelyn finally passed away at the age of 90, she left this world peacefully, with her family by her side. On her gravestone, David and Marcus had engraved words she often spoke to them as children. "Love makes a family, not blood." And 27 years after she had taken them in from the cold streets, those two homeless boys, once lost and forgotten by the world, had become her protectors, her legacy, and the reason her final chapter was written not in loneliness, but in love. Because sometimes, the greatest stories aren't about the wealth you leave behind, but about the lives you touch when you choose compassion over convenience. And Evelyn's choice, made on a rainy night long ago, proved that love can change not just a life, but generations.